There's a number of reasons for men's suicide rates being so high. I think severe depression is one of the pathways to suicide.
77% of all suicides in America are committed by men. The overall rate is increasing at a dramatic pace. Between 1997 and 2014, there was a 43% rise in suicide deaths among middle-aged American men. The rates are highest among American Indian and white men, who kill themselves at about 10 times the rate of Hispanic and black women.
Boom, baby. We are live. Welcome to Inner Game July, episode 1, where we are diving head first into the most important part of why guys are fundamentally broken and why guys fundamentally have trouble in life, bad dating lives, bad sex lives, all that stuff. It's all tied into your inner game. And all of July, on this episodes of Inner Game July here on this channel, we're going to be 100% dedicating to men healing their inner game, understanding what's going on inside of you, especially if you're a man who came from a traumatic upbringing, which there was emotional violence, physical violence, abuse, sexual abuse, all of this stuff. It is, I don't know what overmodulated means, but let me know. Let me double check the mic here real quick. Check. Let me know. Oh, maybe it's let me double check the mic here real quick. Check. Let's see. So, anyways. If you guys don't donate $100 right now, you're a beta male, you're a cuck, you're blue pill for life. You better send me $1,000 in donation right now.
and that's
how's that? Is that better? Is the mic still screwed up? You know who was here using my mic station? That's why I had to adjust my camera. I had to adjust everything. Oh, Charlie, I'm just glad you made me a lot of money. Now it's good. Awesome. Cool. I'm just a little low now. Oh, God. You guys are hard to please. There he is. Sounds good? Okay, cool. Anyways, so here's the deal. Obviously, you guys saw on my Instagram, Hot Dude Life, I just came back from a fantastic vacation. And really was just living it up, to be honest with you. And I was closing out June. June was a kind of shit month for me. I kept it behind closed doors. Didn't let anybody really know, but June was actually really always blame me, Charlie. It's true. Really just shit month. But I'm glad it's over. And what we're going to be talking about this whole month is just the inner game, which I think the future of the red pill, the future of this corner of the internet, is we have to get down to solutions. I think there's an overall known consensus from red pill guys and blue pill guys alike that there is something fundamentally wrong with the dating marketplace in the United States of America, and that the culture is sick and it's fucked up, right? Now, I think that's become like, with words like simp becoming mainstream and, you know, just the overall insufferability of the average American girl is like becoming more popular with people like, Kevin Samuels, the Fresh and Fit podcast, where they're broadcasting this stuff. And it's good to have awareness of that. And, they're doing their part for all of us men together. And I think the truth is, though, we are not going to change anything unless men change, because the problem is this: everything that has happened right now is men's fault, because we are the ones who are in charge. And as they say, hard times will create strong men. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create bad times. So we're in between that weak men and bad times transition in the United States of America. And like I said, when we talk about the China pill and everything, especially with understanding what's been going on with China and in the Navy and the East China Sea and all these things right now, China is absolutely heading towards global superpower status, the ruling superpower. And that's because the men and women in the United States of America are fundamentally sick and broken. And that comes down to a broken household. And that's because of the feminist movement and the divorce rate literally destroying families at an astronomical rate. And that's why we are in this situation now. We are a nation of broken people in the United States of America. I used to have pride for America. I don't have pride anymore. I wasn't proud on 4th of July. I was kind of filled with resentment. I mean, I've left America personally. And once you leave America and you go out to a functioning society like, Japan, Vietnam, South Korea, China, all these other nations where they're functioning and healthy and well, hell, even Mexico, and you go back to the United States, you're like, wow, everything's so fucked up. And the reason everything's fucked up is because people are fucked up in the head. It's a nation of mentally diseased people, of unhealthy people. We are straying away from the norm. We are straying away from what history has shown time and time again. This is what you have a successful and thriving culture with these elements, and this is how you have a culture of failure with these elements. And we're kind of in this decadence era of the United States of America, and it's leading to broken families, and broken families make broken people, and broken people make a broken nation, right? And so we're going to talk about me, because I came from a very broken home, very, very broken home. And I'm going to disclose everything today, something I've never done. I'm going to talk about all the hardships and the bad stuff that happened to me in my childhood. And the reason is I want to share my story with you guys, because I know I have a lot of shadow watchers, a lot of guys who contact me privately and say, listen, I don't participate in the chat. I don't comment. I push the like button. That's about it. But everything you've done has changed my life, and watching your content has changed my life. So I think that the more transparent I am because I did have a very turbulent and bad upbringing, very, very bad. And like I said, we're going to go into the details of it today. But I think by explaining this to you guys, because now I am literally in the top 1% of all people, and I was able to do it through tenacity, working very, very hard, and doing a lot of self-work. And to this day, I'm still doing a lot of self-work. So it's Inner Game July, and I want you to participate with me, okay? I really want you to participate with me, and here's what I want you to do with me, okay? Take a look here. Okay. So here we have the Inner Game July grind. And I really implore you guys to join with me on this, okay? So I will be doing this myself, and I want you all to join with me. So I just took myself off the screen. So right now, if you're watching on a mobile device or something, I want you to screenshot this with your mobile device and keep this. And I want you to do this with me in July because, June, I went to Miami. I had Hot Dude Con. I went on 2 different vacations, actually like 3 different vacations. I ate a lot of pizza and partied and everything on this last vacation. And July and August, I'm really going to get back on the horse and really just close out summer strong. We still got 2 months in summer, but this is the Inner Game July grind. So I want to just talk to you about what I'm going to be doing personally. And the reason I want you to do this is 100% for free, okay? This is 100% for free. And the reason is this. I just want you to join me, okay? Because we are going to go on this journey together. And there's no money involved. There's nothing, no signups, none of that stuff, okay? I'm just giving 100% back to you guys for free. And I feel like if we do this together and we keep in touch and we just, talk on Instagram, if you need to hit me up, whatever, by doing all this stuff together, you will see a very big difference in your mental clarity and a very big difference in your day-to-day life. And I really want you guys who are serious, you men out there that are serious about improving the quality of your life, I really want you to join me on this journey. So here are the rules for Inner Game July. Okay, the Inner Game July grind. Number 1, no eating out unless it's for business, okay? Because if you got to go, you got to go. But if you're going to go eat out for business, like don't order the chocolate cake, don't drink a milkshake, like keep it sensible, steak, potatoes, steak rice, chicken rice, salad, water, Coke Zero, Diet Coke. Okay, be smart when you're doing it. That doesn't give you permission to screw up. Like I have to go meet a business partner this Thursday in Tokyo at the Tokyo American Club. And our little ongoing joke is like I always order the macaroni and cheese, and because it's really hard to get macaroni and cheese in Tokyo. However, I'm not going to be like binging it and eating all this crap or whatever. And ultimately, I'm meeting him for business, talking about acquiring a couple buildings here in Tokyo and moving forward with these kind of parts of my life. Gym is 3 times a week minimum, okay? 3 times a week minimum. That is mandatory, okay? Number 3 is finish 4 books, okay? So I'm like finishing off the tail end of one book right now, which is Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone. Fantastic book. 1,000% recommend that book. Holy God, that book is a life changer. You got to finish 4 books, okay? You have to finish 4 books, all right? Number 4, 1 self-improvement activity daily. So for me, I'm going to be doing multiple, but for you guys out there, you're just going to be doing 1 self-improvement activity daily. So for me, for example, it's going to be watching extra educational YouTube videos, not crybaby bullshit, but educational stuff. Sitting in front of my red light machine and getting in my red light therapy. Helps you out with mental clarity. It fights depression. I mean, the name of the benefits are endless. I have a Phoenix too. I'll probably be using that on myself a couple more times. I'll probably just use it as much as the time allotment allows me. Number 5, track your weight. So I gained about 8 pounds, I think, on vacation, but I'm pretty sure 90% of that is water weight, just because it was no holds bar. It was beach, it was sex, it was food, and mojitos at the end of the day. So, it is what it is. But I'll be getting back on track with the 86 kilograms that I'm currently at. Target is 77 kilograms by the end of the month. Number 6 is affirmations, whether written and or positive, but you have to be telling yourself something positive in the present tense. For example, I make $10,000 a month from my company salary. I own $1 million in cryptocurrency. I have 10% body fat. And written is the best way to do the affirmations, okay? If you don't have time or you want to make excuses, whatever, at least say them to yourself, but affirmations are huge, okay? And number 7 is the most important one, okay? No negative people. You have to have a 0 tolerance for negative people, okay? Christian in the Masculine Empowerment Network was talking to us recently, and he was talking about his situation where he went to the steakhouse with his family for his birthday, and his mom said, "Hey, where do you want to go?" He says, "I want to go to this luxury steakhouse over in this part of the city." So he went there, and he took his aunt with him, and his aunt is kind of like a trashy woman, okay? And she got there, and she was immediately complaining that the filet was too small and the price was too high, and she was complaining about everything to everybody at the table and just like souring the mood, okay? That's like going to a luxury restaurant, which is and complaining that the high-end steak is too small. Like, lady, this is not Outback. And he had to deal with that, and then he got in the group, and he was talking to everybody. He's like, guys, this shit sucks. Like, what the fuck is wrong with this bitch? And we're just like, yo, dude, she's toxic. She's toxic. She's a loser. She has no class. She's selfish because it's your birthday, and she's ruining it. And so, we talked about how you just got to cut these negative people out of your life. Guys, it's sad to say this, okay? But it is what it is. These are the rules, okay? It's like getting mad at gravity. If you want the quality of your life to go up, you absolutely have to have a zero contact policy with all negative people, okay? Whether it be your mother, your father, your aunt, your coworkers, whatever, you cannot at all deal with negative people. And again, the point of Inner Game July Grind is so you can understand a difference in the mental state that you are in now and the mental state that you are in at the end of the month, okay? And I just want you to have mental clarity as men, because this is how I pulled myself out of the depths of hell mentally and escaped and was able to ascend to the highest ranks of society. Now, here you can see it says, tag me on Instagram so I can showcase your success. So show me your receipts, right? Everybody's obsessed with receipts. So show me your receipts. Show me no eating out. Show me the gym. Christian Matiko is probably the most dedicated man in the Hot Dude Army. That guy, when he posts his gym stuff, I'm not going to lie, I was in vacation and I was like eating pizza with my big tittied beauty in bed with me, and I saw Christian like squatting like 315 pounds. I was like, God damn it. God damn it. This pizza's good, but his motivation this kid has given me is even better. And it's true, when you're out fucking around and screwing out, somebody out there's working hard, and Christian keeps me accountable with his consistency. And he's the only person that really continuously tags me on Instagram. A lot of guys fell off. Of course, my buddy Federico, my gym partner, he keeps it consistent as well. But I mean, Christian's consistency is just phenomenal, to say the least. So if you want to just tag me, whether you're doing your self-improvement, writing down your weight, affirmations, tag me so I can showcase your success at Hot Dude Life. July, I'm dedicating to you, to all of you men listening to me right now, okay? I am dedicating all of July to you. There's no catch. There's nothing. We're just here to improve and to go on this journey together. Let's not waste the summer. A lot of people get fucked up in the summer, do drugs, party, all that shit. And that's fine for a season. But now I think it's more important for us to use this time wisely. Another thing I'm going to tie into everything is, like, right now the cryptocurrency market is kind of down, right? A lot of people think it's over. A lot of people think, oh my God, Bitcoin's a scam, blah, 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 whatever, right? This is another time where, while the noise is being retracted, take care of yourself, clean your mind out, engage in healthy habits, and soberly look at the situation, especially now because the cryptomania is a little bit gone right now. It will be back, but I'm telling you, there are...
If you guys don't donate $100 right now, you're a beta male, you're a cuck, you're blue pill for life. You better send me $1,000 in donation right now.
And that's
right now we're just having a little bit of a shakeout with crypto. There's going to be a massive comeback. So now's the time to just gather your thoughts and control your mind, okay? My man, LB1789 with the 1,000 yen donation says, our conversations at the Tokyo American Club are genuinely inspiring. Besides, best mac and cheese in town. That's my man. That's my man. We're going to go hang out on Thursday. Great guy. Great guy. I got another super chat earlier from Ricky Webster. $4.99 super chat says, glad I found you, MLD. Props due. Hondo. Thank you so much. Charlie is in the house. Charlie from Cultivate Crypto. The #1 adjuster of my mic and camera. It says, buy within July is my new tagline. Hashtag not financial advice. That's right. Buy within July. I like it. Anyone else think the audio is super quiet? I don't know. You might just be listening to me on an Android phone. It's all right. You can save your money and get an iPhone one day. Anyways, so we're going to talk about the emotional and physical abuse in my childhood. Now, it's a really touchy subject, but I just think it's super important because there's just so many, like, when I tell people what happened to me, a lot of people are just like, no way, that happened.
Hello there.
Hey, welcome, Phil Good, joined the Hot Dude Army. Thanks so much. And so, you know, with what happened to me in my childhood, I just want to explain that that you too can overcome. And I think it's just kind of crazy in general. So let's just start. Okay. So I was born, my mom had me when she was 19 years old. My dad was a player, shocker. And my dad he was in his 40s at the time, and he went down to holiday in the Caribbean, where my mom is from, on an island called Trinidad and Tobago. And so with what happened there is they came back to the States, and then things didn't go well, and they ended up separating after I was born. Like, she spent some time with me. My mom had some journals that she kept, and I read them. And my mom was just like, my mom did her best, right? And like, imagine being born with being a parent at 19, right? Think about that. And that was really, really hard on her. And, you know, just, I'm speaking objectively about everything today. So there's no hatred, there's no animosity, there's no resentment or anything. Because when you keep hatred and resentment and animosity inside yourself, that's like, you know, towards somebody, that's like you drinking the poison and wanting that person to die. Ultimately, when you hold on to those hatred and those resentment and that bitterness and all that stuff in your heart, it kills you. It doesn't kill the other person. That's why you just got to let go. I think that's why I look so young and I'm so happy all the time. It's because I really just let things go. Like, I'm quick to forgive people, and I'm quick to let go because I just know that's just an extra burden I carry on my back. And so, my mom, she was not educated. She was, you know, and my mom also came from a household of physical abuse, right? Her father used to beat the shit out of her. And so they were like typical island family. My mother was the second youngest of 8 children, 4 boys and then 4 girls. Grandma, grandpa had them. And, you know, they were extremely poor. They were extremely poor growing up, right? And so, I'm talking like third world island poor. So my mom had to like walk to school, and like ragtag clothing, and you know, the teachers in Trinidad, they were allowed to hit you, and so they would beat her for not having proper shoes. And so she had this history and this upbringing of getting beaten. So I believe that she believed that was a way to raise a child correctly, was, you know, and then they were indoctrinated with Christianity as well, you know, spare the rod, spoil the child. So, you know, if you don't beat the kid, you know, then they're not going to grow up to be well-adjusted people. I think I'm okay with spanking, but I don't think you should like ferociously beat your kid. I don't think that's good at all. And that's what happened to me. So in the earlier part of my life, like my mom, I think she married my dad, but then they broke up within like a couple months of me being born. I always make a joke. He's a white guy, saw me, he's like, I'm not raising that brown baby. No siree. And he bounced out of there. And so, you know, I never met my dad, right? The long short of it was this, right? So my dad was a smoker his whole life. And when I was 15, I remember I was playing Resident Evil 2, right? I had like this bootleg copy, and I had like the little Game Shark hack thing you plugged in the back of the PlayStation. And I thought like my mom knew. I was like, you know, because I got it from like the Vietnamese kids at school. They're like, yeah, we'll burn these games for you, like give it to you, and we had to boot upload this stuff, and I had all this, like illegal game software, right? Because we were poor, we had no fucking money, and the Vietnamese kids were cool enough just to give it to me for free. And so I remember I was playing Resident Evil 2. I was in the basement. I think in the sewers about to like fight the alligator and kill him. And then my mom was like, "Hey, like I need you to come in the other room, talk to me." I was like, "Oh fuck." I was like, "What now? What's going on?" I was like 13 at the time. And she's like, "I have to talk to you. Something happened, and it's important." I was like, "Okay, cool. Fuck, am I in trouble? What's going on?" She's like, "Well, your dad died." I was like, "Oh, you mean the guy that I never met and abandoned me and left me?" And she was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I don't care." I was like, "Can I go back in the room and play video games?" And I think she was just so like, felt so much guilt that she was like, yeah, go over there. Because she always kept the secret from me. He always kept it past. I didn't see a picture of him until I was a man. And that was when I went out to Trinidad and Tobago, and my uncle showed it to me. So, that's the story of my dad, right? I only know his name, right? I know his first name, his middle name, and his last name. And so that's like the only legacy I have of my father, and I'll never meet my father, and I never knew my father. And so for you guys out there that have a father in your life, even if he's a piece of shit, like I envy your piece of shit, because at least you have like I don't know what it's like to have a father, right? I don't know what it's like to have a dad say I love you and all this shit. And growing up, that did affect me. And it's a part of my life. It is a hole in my heart to an extent that will never be kind of filled. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people have girls have daddy issues. There's daddy issues, mommy issues, right? And so a lot of people try to fill this void in their heart, a void in their life with substances, drugs, hypersexuality, addictions, right? And so, there was a part of me that it did like when I was in my teens, I would say it really affected me because I was going through puberty, and like I didn't know how to tie my tie, and like I remember my mom had to like try to figure out how to teach me how to tie my tie. Luckily, thank God I was involved in the church at the time, which was a double-edged sword. But there was like this young like Puerto Rican Chad guy that like kind of took me under his wing, and he was a player. He was like fucking all the girls in the church too, under my nose. I was none the wiser. But thank God I met this guy who had like a little bit of an edge to him. He had a little bit of a hot temper, and he would kind of get in fights here and there. But all the girls loved him. He was a cool guy. He's still a cool guy to this day. And thank God for that guy, because he kind of gave me like an idea of what a strong masculine man should be like, right? And so that was like my kind of saga with my father, right? By the way, smash like, guys. We got like 170 something plus people in here. Share this video, send it out. If somebody wants to post it in the Masculine Empowerment Network, I'll pin the tweet. I'll pin it up. But yeah, just go ahead and share this out, because we need to get this message out to people. As you know, what's going on with YouTube is kind of annoying, to say the least. Oh, here we go. Thank you, Simon Thompson. You're the man. I just saw you posted in the chat group. You're the man. I love you, buddy. So, right, that was that. So, one thing I'm going to reveal today that I've never revealed before is like actually when I was it's hard for me to remember, but when I was about 4 to 5 years old, I had a near drowning experience that I remember. Like I kind of like took it like from a young age. I kind of like hated my mom because I almost drowned in the pool. And so what happened was my mom was just sleeping and napping or whatever, and then she was like just let me like fuck off to the pool. And I was like 4 years old, and I remember I had like this Ghostbuster gun, and it like broke in half, and part of it floated into the middle of the pool. And I remember like I went out there, and I tried to like get it, and then I was like drowning. And I remember I was like 4, I think I was like 4 years old, and I was just like trying so hard to stay alive. And like I remember I swallowed a bunch of water, and I remember that I was just fighting for life, man. I remember that shit fucking so vividly. And then I remember, like, I told my mom about it after because I somehow had the fucking will to live. I'm a ferocious little fucker, man. I had the will to live, and I was able to swim to the edge. And I remember I went and told my mom when I was 4, and then I remember that she blamed me. She was like, "You shouldn't have gone to the pool by yourself, and you shouldn't have done this. You shouldn't have done that." It was my fault, and it was like a very strong blaming, and strong enough for me to remember it. Fucking 31 years later, at 35 years old, and that was just one part of my 4-year-old that was like fucking screwed up. Another part was my mom used to. This is also like in the same apartment complex. I remember vividly. So another part was this, right? My mom used to drive one of these. You guys remember these bad boys? My mom used to drive one of these, like, remember these station wagons? These old station wagons with, like, the wood on the side? Okay. So I remember one time I was telling my mom, like, yeah, like we were just kids, me and my sister. We were like, we want Slurpees. We want Slurpees. We want Slurpees. And the that was like the cool thing in the early 90s. We wanted so much like sweets and stuff, right? So I said, like, we want Slurpees. So my mom was like, fine, let's get in the car, let's go. And she was driving one of these, and we drove to 7-Eleven. And as we got to the 7-Eleven, luckily me and my sister had our seatbelts on, but the brakes in the car went out. And my mom went over the little speed bump thing that you park in, and we crashed inside of the 7-Eleven, and she hit this old lady, and everything was so fucked up. It was so crazy. And I just remember crashing into the 7-Eleven, seeing like a 90-year-old lady like covered in blood, seeing all this like people screaming and chaos, and people like think the ambulance were coming, and all of this like just crazy chaotic shit.
If you guys don't donate $100 right now, you're a beta male, you're a cuck, you're blue pill for life. You better send me $1,000 in donation right now.
Keep the mood light. Atham, sorry, but my man, Atham, $2 super chat. I had a car similar to that in my early 20s. Rest in peace to your popularity. So when everything was said and done, and we went back to the apartment, my mom like yelled at me and my sister, and she was like, "This is your fault." She's like, "This is your fault. You kids caused me to go to 7-Eleven because you wouldn't stop whining to get you a Slurpee, and because of you, I crashed and I almost killed this lady." I mean, I remember the news came, the fire department was there. I just remember seeing this old white lady, like literally head to toe, like covered in blood, like drenched in blood. And I just remember like feeling, because I was 4, what the fuck do you know, right? That it was my fault. It was 100% my fault. And I believed it. I really, really, really believed it. I believed in my heart of hearts, and that was like the beginning of like kind of seeding my mind with the emotional abuse that it was my fault, right? And the reality was my mom was just young and inexperienced and couldn't fucking raise kids correctly, right? It was her fault. I believe this is like 1990. Probably like 1990-ish, 1991, something around there. And then it was our fault, but the reality is it was her fault. She didn't have proper maintenance on the car. She didn't have the responsibility to take responsibility, right? And that's a part of like negative people. When we go back to saying like get rid of negative people, you want to do that. But like, negative people, they always like to put the responsibility of an outcome on somebody else. Like, that's why the feminist movement is so powerful, is because they say, oh, this is the fucking men's fault. This is the patriarchy's fault. It's everybody's fault except for you. And the bottom line is this. If you want to have a high quality life, just take responsibility for everything. The good, the bad, the ugly, whatever, it's 100% your fault. That will get you quicker, okay? That will get you results quicker than just sitting there and crying or whatever. Sam Prashansky says, big balls for sharing this. Keep the good work. Listen, we are just at the tip of the iceberg of how fucked up everything was. Like I said, but I think there's a lot of posturing, and there's a lot of fucking a lot of people pretending to be cooler and bigger and badder than they actually are on YouTube, right? And for me, you guys know I'm all about keeping it real. I'm never going to sell out. I'm never going to compromise my message for the sake of the algorithm or for the sake of appeasing, YouTube censorship, whatever. I'm never going to do that. It's just not who I am. And I just feel like by giving you the unfiltered access to what happened to me in my past and showing you where I am now, that is the most transparent, effective communication tool that I have. And if you think I'm wrong, type it in the chat, but I'm pretty sure I think I'm right. I'm never going to compromise. It's just not who I am. And you can't buy me. You can't own me. I'm very loyal. I'm very trusting, and I'm very transparent, and I am who I am. I mean, like 50 Cent says, I am what I am. You can like it or love it. Okay. And that's how I am. So, taking responsibility is so important. And that's the number one thing. And so my mom wouldn't want to take the responsibility about this. And like I said, it gets way worse. Okay. So there was a point in my life when I was this was before kindergarten. I was about 4 years old. At one point my mom hit like a pretty low point, right? And what happened was this. So with my mom, here, let me see if I don't know if I should draw it. I'll just talk. And if it gets confusing, just let me know. Okay. So this is what happened. Okay. So my mom, after she got involved with my dad and it didn't work out, she got involved with a Cuban guy, and that guy ended up being the father of my sister. Because me, my brother and sister, we have 3 different fathers, right? And that's just because, my mom was young. She was, no offense, love my mom, but like I said, just communicating transparently here. She was young, she was dumb, and she was vulnerable, and she had no papers in a country where she was abandoned by the man who brought her there. So she went to a lot of church rescues and a lot of kind of Salvation Army handout things, just like trying to survive and keep the kids alive. I will say, luckily, my mom was very conscious about the nutrition and feeding us correctly. Like, she really was like, she's like, I don't trust this American food. I don't trust this McDonald's. I don't trust this shit. And we would get it as like a treat. We would get McDonald's and stuff as a treat. And so, hey, Federico. And so what happened was this. So my mom then had a baby with my sister's brother, right? And so they were together for a while, but then my mom's younger sister saw that my mom was with this guy, and she started to seduce that guy. And what ended up happening was my mom got pregnant, and when my mom was pregnant with my sister, the Cuban guy left my mom and he went with her sister. Does that make sense? And so then he had sex with my mom's sister and got her pregnant as well. So my sister is actually brother and sister with my cousin, if that makes any sense, right? It was really fucking crazy. So maybe I should draw it out. Does that make sense? Let me draw it out. Okay. me go to the whiteboard. All right. So here's my okay. So here's Cuban guy. He's a Cuban dude. Okay, so he got my mom pregnant and gave birth to my sister. Okay. And then he also got my aunt pregnant because she went and seduced him and took her away from my mom. And that gave birth to my cousin, who is also my sister's cousin / brother. Right? I bet you Jerry Springer is foaming at the mouth if he's watching this. He's like, this is great. This is great TV. So, that's what happened. And when my mom was pregnant in the hospital, my aunt went there and fought with her. And I remember this being there. And my aunt pushed my mom out of the bed on the floor, out of the hospital bed, right? And I just saw all this chaos and stuff. And I remember at one point later in life, the Cuban guy came to our house and was trying to forcefully talk to my mom. This is a couple years after. And I remember he grabbed her and pulled her out the front door, and she fell on the floor. And, I remember just I was probably 5 or 6 at the time, and I just felt so helpless. But I wanted to kill the guy. I wanted to hurt him, but I was just a kid, you know what I mean? So I couldn't do anything. So this was all going on, and it was just so chaotic, right? And so my mom hit a really low point. She was pregnant. She had my sister, and she couldn't really watch after me. And she had met she met a nice white lady in church while they were playing volleyball together. What happened was my mom wanted to go play volleyball, and she had me, and she was like, fuck, I can't go play volleyball with everybody because my son is here. And then the lady, her name was Pam. Oh, Pam, what an angel in my life, man. Pam was this really sweet white lady. And Pam really wanted a baby, but she couldn't find a good guy. And it was just really hard for her to get in a relationship with somebody who wanted a baby. And when I look back on my life and I think of Pam, Pam was like an angel, man. Pam. So what ended up happening was my mom got to a really low point, and she couldn't take care of me. And so she ended up giving me away to Pam and Pam's family. And I lived with Pam and Pam's family for about 9 months, right? And so I was given away. And I was 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old at the time. I didn't start school, but I remember I was 4 or 5 years old at the time. And I was kind of why did my mom give me away? Is something wrong with me? Why am I not desired? What did I do wrong? And I was, already at a young age, 4 years old, thinking too deep on this shit, and thinking fuck, the 7-Eleven accident happened because of me. Me almost drowning happened because of me. And then my mom gave me away, and I was just why the fuck did my mom give me away? What did I do wrong? And so the shining light of it all though was man, Pam's family, they're the most well-adjusted white family ever, dude. I'll never forget it. Pam had a sister named Bonnie and a younger brother named Kevin. Kevin was a little fucked up. He always had he had this psychotic demonic drawings on the wall, and he played drums a lot. He was always nice to me. He was a very soft-spoken guy, but you could tell he was tormented. He had a really fucked up evil side. Pam had a sister named Bonnie. Bonnie was always laughing, and Bonnie was always full of joy. And their parents had gotten a divorce or something. I don't remember exactly, but Pam's mom name was Barbara. And I just remember this family was just so loving and so so well adjusted and just never raised their voice at me, never threatened to beat me. Everything was just like so, just like nice. Like, it was just like, this is what a fucking normal upbringing is like. Now that I look back on it as a man, I'll never forget it. Like, we would always sit down and dinner would be ready at 7:00 every night. And they would give me my Flintstone vitamins. They would put them there, and everybody took their vitamins at the table. And we would sit down, and we would always hold hands, and we would pray and be like, "Dear Lord, thank you for this food. Thank you for our lives together. In Jesus' name we pray, amen." Right? And I'm not saying, give your life to Jesus or whatever that shit is. But I'm just saying it was a well-adjusted, well-balanced situation. And I think it was like, thank God for part of this, because it went to show me that, I think it was like a little bit of a saving grace to an extent. You know what I mean? Moral, brave bird for the win says, moral of the story, white people are great. So funny. But it was a well-adjusted white family. We lived in Coral Gables. It was a safe neighborhood. And I just remember Pam cared about me so much. She would always read me books. Like, she would put me in bed, and she would read me stories until I fell asleep. And I was just like, fucking hell, man. Pam, like, what a sweet woman, man. To this day, I've lost contact with her. I've been trying to get a hold of her to tell her, like, hey, like, fucking made it. But, Pam, what a sweet woman. It's just this, I cannot even think of a bad memory. Like, I couldn't find anything. She was like an angel. She always spoke to me with this light, airy voice, and she would always stroke my face, and she's like, "You're a very special boy, Jonathan." And she's like, "You're so smart," and she would just always tell me like these, like, the complete opposite of what my mom would do. Like, always, like, my mom was always like, "You're demon possessed. You're a little fucking evil piece of shit." And I was just like, oh man. So that was a 9-month period in my life, and what I didn't know behind the scenes was actually, what I didn't realize was, like, behind the scenes, Pam and Barbara and Bonnie, they really loved me, and they wanted to take care of me, and they knew how fucking crazy and fucked up my mom's life was at the time. And there was a war behind the scenes they kept from me. I didn't find out until later in life. But Pam was aggressively trying to keep me as her son. And she wanted to raise me, and she wanted to, love me and take care of me. And Pam remained in my life all the way up until like my teens, until we moved away from South Florida and moved to Orlando. So, I ended up going back with my mom when I was about 5 years old, and that's when I remember, like, my memories, like, solidly kicked in. I remember, like, I gained consciousness, right? You ever have that moment, like, you remember when you gained consciousness as a human and you started remembering stuff, right? And it was funny, like, good old Disney got me. I remember the first thing in my consciousness, I was, like, watching DuckTales remember DuckTales, and, like, in the beginning it would show, like, Scrooge McDuck swimming in all the coins, right? And I remember, like, that was, like, my beginning of my consciousness. I went to the public education system in Miami, and I started off at a place called John G. Dupuy Elementary School. I don't know if it's still up, but there was my first teacher was this African American lady, and her name was Miss Jefferson. And Miss Jefferson ruled with an iron fist. She was a very, very emotionally abusive woman. She was a bad person, man. Mrs. Jefferson was a piece of shit. Real piece of shit. I remember there's this other boy, he was named Jonathan Lopez. And I remember one time he was, like, in the corner, just, like, kicking up in the air, and, like, kicking and doing, just, like, being 5 years old in kindergarten. And I remember Miss Jefferson at one point, he was kicking, and she fucking snatched his leg in midair and dragged him on the floor with his face dragging on the carpet across the floor. How, like, in elementary schools in America, like, the the rooms are connected by one door. She dragged Jonathan Lopez and dragged him into the other room and fucking threw him. And to the other room was just like, you need to watch this boy. I can't take care of him. He's too crazy for me. And, you know, that was really fucking crazy for me too, because I had to like live a year under this woman's tyranny in like my formulative years. And Miss Jefferson was a tyrant. I just remember living in fear all kindergarten. Like when you're supposed to be happy and like, you know, singing songs and enjoying life. I remember that she was just a monster. And my mom would tease me about it. She'd be like, Mrs. Jefferson's coming for you. She's going to come in a helicopter and like get you when you're being bad. I never said that exactly. And so I had to deal with that too. Now at that point there was like a little bit of my mom had remarried, and she remarried my brother's dad at the time. He was a white guy. He was like white hillbilly kind of guy, like man's man, construction worker. And typical construction worker problems, right? Alcoholic, cheating on my mom, liked to go to strip clubs. He was a decent guy. I think he tried his best. His name was Bill, and he was like 6'9". He was a beast. He was a huge man. I remember that. He was a huge motherfucker. And he was white, so I had some like white clout going on me, like, oh, this is like my little brown child here. And you know, I remember he did his best. I really did. I remember he did his best. Sometimes he would spank me and my sister if we were being bad, but he was never a malicious guy. I think he was just a dude. You know, he was just a guy trying to do his best. Nice enough to marry my mom with 2 kids in tow, and give her a third one. So from like ages 6 to about, how old are you when you start 4th grade? You start like, let's see, 5 and 6 is kindergarten, 6 and 7 first, 7, 8 third, 8 and 9 is 4th. Okay. So around 4th grade is when when the relationship started to go a little turbulent. We lived in Homestead at the time. This is right after Hurricane Andrew hit. And so what ended up happening was the relationship was kind of on rocks, and then this is when the fucking biggest devil of my life came into my life. And it was my mom's older sister. Michael Zarate for being a 5-month member. If you guys want to be a member, or if you're feeling, oh, great, now it's working. If you want to be a member, I was going to say click on that link, but it's not working. Let's see. Here you go. If you guys want to be a member, go ahead and click on that link right there. You can sign up, get some free icons, emojis, all that stuff. And if you want to just make a direct donation to the stream, if I'm yanking on those heartstrings correctly, go ahead and send a donation. I'll pin that at the top. Sound effects are loud. I bet they are. Let's bring that down a bit. You can click on that link right there, streamlabs.com/Modern Life Dating Channel, and that will allow you to send a donation to support the stream. Anyways, going back to that. Actually, I'm just going to grab a drink. Just give me 1 second.
For watching today's episode of Interview with the Man. We're going to get right back to the show. But I wanted to take a moment to remind you that if you need personal help with dating and getting your money right specifically, we offer that services over on my Patreon. All you need to do is go to patreon.com/Modern Life Dating. What we do is on the 2nd and 4th Sunday of every month at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have a group coaching call where men from all over the world come in with their questions on how to get their dating and their money right. If you're having trouble with your dating life, if you're having trouble with your finances, let me help you. I have turned my life around, and I can help turn your life around. All you need to do is go to patreon.com patreon.com/modern life dating. There is limited enrollment. It is only limited to 150 members, and already more than half of that has been filled up. This will be filled up, so don't forget, take action now, lock in your space. Go to patreon.com/modern life dating, and let's get some coaching for you today.
Foxwolf says, everybody else grab a drink too. It sounds like the story's about to get dark. So, I'm not drinking alcohol. I'm just drinking water. I just need some water. I'm not drinking alcohol. And Inner Game July, the grind, trying to keep it as sober as possible. I really don't drink alcohol. I drink on the holiday that I was on, but that's just like at the end of the day. I kind of like, wanted to have a cocktail. Sometimes when I don't know, when I'm like out on the sun and the beach, I just feel like drinking a cocktail. I wasn't drinking like beer or anything like trashy like that. I was drinking like mojitos and like margaritas, like high-end cocktails, high-end alcohol as well. Good quality stuff, So yeah. So then the relationship was kind of on the rocks when I was in 4th grade. And yeah. So from 4th grade, that's when this fucking evil bitch, bro, my Aunt Millie. Now, I've forgiven Aunt Millie, believe you me, but, it doesn't mean you're forgotten. It doesn't mean you're forgotten, that's for sure. And so now we're talking about Aunt Millie. So Aunt Millie was a bad person, to say the least. Evil person. She was like Bobby Boucher's mom in the Waterboy. Everything was a devil. Everything was a devil. Like fucking like I was just like just hell inbound. Everything was a devil. Everything was bad. So she was a narcissistic, abusive person, and we're gonna go into more detail about these. Trent Hart's. No, that's not Aunt Millie. Was not the one that had sex with the Cuban guy. That was my other aunt, Aunt Mira. She was a real piece of work. She still is. Anyways, so Aunt Millie came into the picture, and because she wanted to come to America, and Aunt Millie married Bill's friend Steve. Right? Steve was like he was like just good old fashioned white guy, like had a handlebar mustache, like mullet ponytail, just like a early 90s American guy to the fullest. I remember Steve. He was a funny guy. He's a good guy. She came because she wanted to get her papers and live in the United States of America, right? Because there's more opportunity here. She's a lifelong loser. She still is. But we'll go into the details of that as well. And so she came in tow with her 3 children. And her 3 children were Melina, Kale. And Kale is a pinnacle member of this story. And then Andrew was the youngest one, right? And so Aunt Millie was a real psychological, like, she enjoyed torturing me, okay? And she really enjoyed torturing me. And so, when she first came into our life, she was always like, she was just like a psychological bully. And these characters that we're talking about, we'll be discussing in detail more with Ryan Fowler from Innermasculine.com. And he's going to talk about, the actual terminology for what she was. I think he says like a narcissistic abuser or something like that. And yeah, exactly. Jeremy Thompson says combining abusive personality and the power of religion, and whoa, that's a mindfucker another level. Yeah, so we're gonna talk about that. So she also came with her kids, right? So Melina was cool. She was, for the most part, she was all right. And then Kale was the real bad guy. He was a bully. Kale was he was older than me. I forget how old he was, but he was, I forget exactly how old he was, but he was definitely older than me. He was older than me. He was stronger than me. And so when they came over from Trinidad to America, they weren't really adjusted to the culture and what was going on. And I was a happy kid. I'm a happy person to this day. And they were just all like kind of miserable people. You know, miserable parents give birth to miserable kids. And the abuse from them came twofold. It was physical from Kale, and it was emotional from Aunt Millie, right? So Aunt Millie got really involved with the church that we were at, right? And the church was Upper Room Assembly of God in Miami, right? And we would always go to church. And I would have to say, like, I you know, despite all my comments on church and all this shit, I will have to say, like, the community of the church, like, that was like my saving grace. It gave us some sanity in our life, right? Bill being in there as well, like, gave my mom some stability, and, like, you know, every time there was, because at least she had a man around to tell her what the deal was, right? You know, when Bill was living with us, we used to have these Mormons come over, and my mom would always cook barbecue chicken for them, and they would bring me little Book of Mormon, like, illustrated books, and, you know, I talk a lot of shit about the church and all that stuff, but I will have to say, like, Christianity, it's not a bad thing. Back then, I think it was a little bit of a saving grace for me. It gave me like a little of a sense of normalcy in the chaos that was going on in my day-to-day life at home, right? Yeah, put those red pills in the chat, right? This is not your typical hypergamy doesn't care. Oh, she's gonna cheat on you. All bitches are whores, right? Should I just go back to that kind of content? Fuck that. Those days are over. But, you know, these are the real red pills. This is real. This is true. Like, I'm not going to, like, my days of, like, getting on here and trying to act like I'm fucking super cool, I don't care anymore. I'm just keeping it 100% real with all you guys, because I know that a lot of people are ashamed to talk about this stuff, especially men. And there are a lot of guys that are just, like, feeling that this is, like, you know, this is, like, they're afraid of the judgment that will come, right? But I don't give a fuck anymore, man. I'm the man. I've accomplished. I came out of this shithole. If you're feeling bad for me, you got to remember, like, I'm winning now. Like, I am victorious. Life is fantastic. Okay, there is a happy ending here. So, and 9 times out of probably, statistically speaking, you probably didn't have as much of a fucked up life as I did. So if I could do it, then you could do it way easier, right? Anyways, so Aunt Millie came, right? And everything was the devil. Everything was fucking the devil. The devil, the devil, the devil. He's the devil. This is the devil. This video game is the devil. Demons are coming. Demon possessed and the devil and the rapture. That was it. My childhood was demon possessed. The rapture is coming. The devil. You know, you got to be careful. The devil's going to come to you at night and possess your body. And you're going to burn in the lake of fire. Like, a 9-year-old child should not know what the fuck the lake of fire is, right? Period. I'm seeing a lot of anonymous people I've never seen comment before. Comment in the chat. I really like that. Thank you, Het. I know that this message is powerful and it's needed. And a lot of people don't want to talk about this shit. But it needs to be said. So, I'm getting fucking hot. Summer in Tokyo is kind of wild. I'm gonna go the half samurai on you guys, okay? Just up the professionalism of this stream. But anyways, so I didn't like how Kale and Andrew and they would always just kind of like come into the house and like act like shit was theirs, and always like they would always try to correct me and always try to tell me something, right? And then everything was bad with me, right? And what ended up happening was my sister would always go and side with my cousins against me, and my brother was little at the time. He didn't know what was going on, so he just by default was just like in the corner with them hanging out. and it would be 5 versus me. It would be Melina, Kale, Andrew, my sister, and the aunt versus me, right? And my one saving grace for my mom was she always defended me in these situations. Kale would beat me up on a regular basis. And I think this is why I became obsessed with physical combat, martial arts, and self-defense, right? I also think this is why I'm so sharp, is because it got to the point where my senses were always dialed to 11. Because I was like, is another ass beating coming from my mom or from fucking Kale? When my aunt would open her bedroom door, I would be like, okay, like, am I going to get yelled at? And like when you're 9 years old, 10, because this went on from 9 to like 12 years old, 13 years old. It's 4 years of this shit. And you're at this point in your life, you should be like thinking like, I just want to eat ice cream. I want to get an A on my spelling test. I want to fucking enjoy my life, right? And so, you know, and what I'm about to tell you is pretty fucking vivid, but I just want to tell you, you know, Kale would beat me up on a regular basis. And I remember at one point he held me down, and it was like on the bed, and he held me down, and then there was a white wall next to me. So I was like pinned in a corner against the floor in the wall. And I remember he was repeatedly punching me in the face. And I remember it vividly, like I would see my blood splatter up against the white wall from my nose. And it would like, you know, it looked like a Jackson Pollock. It was just like boom, boom, boom. And then, you know, when one of the adults saw this, they always broke it up. And then it would always be Kale, Melina, and Andrew. It would be their 3-word against mine. And it was always somehow my fault. And for the life of me, I just could never beat Kale in a fight. Like, I want to fight him now because I know I'll whoop his fucking ass. But he's a wage slave. He already lost. Vengeance really is just living a great life, I got to tell you. And so, you know, yeah, that happened for the longest time. I would get my ass beat and lose these fights for like 4 years in a row. And then after I got my ass beat, I would get yelled at for like instigating it or whatever. And I remember the only thing was like I would like call them names. I'd be like, you guys are just like jungle people. You're losers. You're weirdos. Like, you know, the only thing I could say was hurtful words to them. Like, you're freaks. Like, you're illegals. You know, like, go back to Trinidad. That was the only thing I could say because, you know, when you're being, you know, literally ferociously beaten, you want to do something to retaliate, right? It's just normal. And so they would always, you know, say mean things to me or whatever, and I would just always retaliate with words. And it was like that for a while. They lived with us in this house because, like, and you know, it's so fucked up because, like, she was like leeching off my mom, coming from Trinidad, had no job, had no papers, but then, you know, we'd like come into my mom's house and like beat the fuck out of her child and have her children beat the fuck out of me. And, you know, it was like a love-hate relationship. Because I was just a child. I was just like, you know, it's like I just tried always to make the best of it and be like, you know, there was points where I was nice to Kale and we got along, but a bully's a bully, right? And so, yeah, it was just super fucked up. I remember, because I am a good person and I'm a good man and I was a good kid. At youth church, I had won like kid of the year, right? They're like the pastor, his name is Pastor Ron. I'll never forget him. And he was like, you know, Jonathan has just been such a good student because I would always sit up front. I would always read my Bible and I would always remember I like winning in academic situations. And so I always loved studying the scripture and I loved being part of the youth church, and they had puppets, and it just was like, it made me so happy. I like loved going to youth church. It made me so happy. And I was super involved, and it was like my outlet of like enjoying, like feeling happiness. And I remember I won Kid of the Year, and I'd beaten Kale and Andrew and Melina and my sister. I beat all of them, and there was like in this youth church of children's church, there was probably like like 60 or 70 kids, right? It was huge. It was a big church. And I was number one, and I was like, fuck. I'm like, I'm the best. I didn't say fuck. I was like, praise Jesus. And I was number one. And I remember I won. And I remember my aunt, she was so fucking mad that I had outperformed her kids, right? That we came home, and then like there was some kind of fight or something. And she says, like, she's like, you're a wicked boy. You're like a wicked, evil boy. And she said, you are the one. She's like, you tricked the pastors. You tricked the congregation. You tricked everybody. She's like, you're not going to trick me. She says, you won Kid of the Year. She's like, but she said, and I remember this specifically. She says, you won Kid of the Year, but really you are Snake of the Year. And I remember I started crying and just feeling bad. I had like my little candies and awards and stuff. Let's turn that off. So, I had all my awards and like, and I'm like, it's like fucking like a fucked up Disney story. I'm like, have my awards, I'm holding my candy and stuff. I'm like crying in my house because my aunt is telling me that I'm a bad person. I was like a bad kid. And I was like 9 or 10 at the time, right? And like went from like this pinnacle achievement moment in my life, like I won best kid of the youth church, like the best kid. And it was like, no, let's bring you down. And my mom always said it too. She was like, she was just jealous that I was better than her kids, right? And I still am. Somebody's got to do it, right? So that was really bad for me. And this was just an ongoing thing, right? There was a time I was playing Killer Instinct. Remember that game, Killer Instinct? And my aunt was on the phone, and at one point during, like, I was playing on one of the levels, and like they had like some Buddha statues in the background or something. And my aunt was on the phone. And she like started like pointing at the Buddha statue. She didn't say, she was like, she was like pointing at it, and she was pointing at me. And she's like, you see these Buddha statues? These are evil, and they have the devil in them. And this is going to put demons in your life. She's like, you're going to get demon possessed when you're sleeping because these Buddha statues, you're bringing this wickedness into your family's life. She's like, who bought this game for you? And then she would go to my mom and be like, why did you buy this game for him? Like, don't listen to this boy. He's a bad boy. And, like, why did you allow him to bring this game into the household, right? We got a donation coming in. Let it just play.
If you guys don't donate $100 right now, you're a beta male.
Is that loud
you're
too?
a cuck. You're blue pill for life. You better send me $1,000 in donation right now.
And that's
so then, we got in this whole thing. You're gonna hear about Aunt Millie. You're gonna hear about Aunt Millie. Trust me. So everything was, it was the devil, evil. And who was bringing the demons into the house? It was Jonathan. Jonathan was the demon summoner, bringing demons into the house because I was playing Killer Instinct, right? Every healthy outlet I had, video games, Pokemon cards, like all these healthy hobbies, they all cut them out and eventually send me down like the path of becoming like a drug addict and degenerate in my youth. Like I was on the right path, but these women fucked it up. So now it got to the point where my mom and Bill separated, right? He was just cheating on her a lot and she couldn't deal with it. And we ended up moving out. And then that meant at Millie and Kale and Andrew and Melina, they had to go live on their own too, right? And, my aunt she's like just incompetent loser. She couldn't financially support herself and her kids, right? And they ended up having to move back in with us in my mom's small apartment because we used to live in this big house in Homestead, like Cutler Ridge, South Florida, right? You guys, anybody from South Florida knows that area. And it was a big house. Remember, it was a nice memory, very big house. And, there was good times. Like, it was my aunt, my cousins, and then my mom's husband, Bill, me and my brother and sister. We had some good Christmas memories. Even Aunt Mira came through, and my uncle Jiwan is, like, to say it, like, fucking one of the, like, nicest, like, most stable-minded people in my whole family. Millionaire, boss, used to be a psychiatric nurse in London. He left his shithole country, Trinidad, and went to UK and became a millionaire. Real smart guy. He was always positive. He'd always come bring me like $5, whatever, and take care of me. My grandma lived with us too. And one time we lived after we moved out of Homestead, we lived into this apartment, right? And my grandma was watching us one day. And I was like 11 at the time. And I remember I had a friend named Joey, and I always liked to go to Joey's house because he had a Sega. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to Joey's house and play Sega. And so my grandma was there, and I told grandma, hey, I'm going to go to Joey's house. And she's like, okay, I'm going to stay here with your sister. And my grandma didn't really take care of her health. She had diabetes. She got it in her 50s. She was not obese, but I think like clinically obese, but she's still like, she wasn't like a massive lard of a person, but she had her problems. And she cared too, and she didn't like how Aunt Millie would always beat me. I remember how my grandma would stick up for me. And then one day I went to Joey's, and then my sister called me on the phone. She's like, hey, you need to come back to the house. She's like, Grandma fell down and she's not moving. And she's like, she's making weird noises. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, okay. So I ran back home. I was 11, and me and my sister found my grandma, and she was unconscious. And we called 911, and we were just kids, and we were trying to resuscitate my grandma. My sister was like blowing into her mouth, and I was like pushing on her chest, following the paramedics' instructions. And my grandma died. She was 56. She died right in front of us. What ended up happening, she had a stroke. And then the stroke led to her not being able to stay conscious. And then she died in front of us. And me and my sister, we felt kind of bad. We felt like Grandma died because of us, like, because we couldn't save her. And, then there was this huge ordeal in the family because they had to keep her on life support. And they were like, do we keep her on life support? We can't afford it. What are we going to do? And they ended up, just taking her off life support, and she died. And, again, I was just a kid at the time. I didn't realize the severity of the situation, but, it was just fucking, at a young age, 11, I'd already gone through like fucking so much shit at this point too, like almost drowning, getting my ass beat, emotionally abused, crashing into the fucking 7-Eleven, and now grandma dying in front of us, and us feeling like a little guilty for it, feeling like we couldn't save grandma, we weren't good enough. Nobody, my mom never said that. Nobody ever said that at all. No one ever blamed us or whatever. But yeah, man. Yeah, grandma died in front of us, and it was so crazy to have like such an up close and personal experience with death at a young age. It was pretty fucked up. It was pretty sad. But, that's life. What are you going to do? It is what it is. So, after grandma died, things got tough for my mom. and you know, the situation with my aunt and her finances fell apart, and she couldn't pay her bills. So she asked my mom, "Can't she move back in with us?" And so now it was me, my mom, my brother, my sister, my aunt, and then Kale, Andrew, and Melina, all living in a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment in Miami. It was crazy. It was fucking bad. And again, you know, I had like this little solace, like a 1-year solace of not getting my ass beat by my cousin. They moved back in, and my mom would go work at night. She was a bartender. She used to work at the DoubleTree. She used to work at nightclubs. She was a bartender, and that's just what she knew to do. She would make like, you know, $600-700 a night cash in Miami in the 90s. So that's like a lot of fucking money, but it's all she knew how to do. She was in the party scene too. You know, she told me she was like doing blow and, you know, partying and hooking up or whatever. But I will say, to her credit, like at that point, like we weren't poor. We didn't have like a lot of money problems, right? You know, so, but when it was bad because I would go to school during the day and I'd be happy, but I'd always be afraid to go home because I knew my mom left at like 5 o'clock for work. And then when she left for work, you know, I would be left alone with my aunt and Kale, Andrew, and Melina, and I knew that they were going to bully me, and I knew my sister and my brother were going to team up against me, and it would be like fucking, what is that? Millie, Kale, Andrew, Melina, brother, sister. So it's 6 versus 1, and I just like, I think that's why I'm such like a tenacious motherfucker, and like I'm ready to take on the world, is because, you know, it's like all I know is being outnumbered and being outgunned and having to outwit and outsmart and out you know, and survive, you know what I mean? And so yeah, so then the beating started again, and I would my mom would come home and I'd have a black eye, or she would find a bunch of toilet paper or like a tissue or like a t-shirt stained with my blood. And I remember like after a couple of months, I remember at one point my mom was just like, "Millie, this can't work." I remember watching my mom telling her like, "Millie, this is not working." She's like, "You can't control your kids. You're going to have to leave. Like you're beating my son every day." And that was like the one point I was like, "God, thank God, like fucking someone gives a shit about me." You know, Aunt Millie was just a real piece of work, man. Real piece of work. She was always obsessed with the pastor in the church, right? Pastor Bruce. I'm not gonna say his last name for reasons to be mentioned later. She was always obsessed with this guy. And he was married, you know, white guy, married, whatever. Just like he was the main pastor of the church. She would always go to the extra prayer and all this stuff. And you know, she was so involved with the church, but she was like, it kind of like made me hate the church to an extent, because like my aunt was like just, and it was so like, it made me so mad because I would see how everybody in the church would respect her, but like behind the closed doors, you know, she was a fucking monster and a tyrant to me. And I remember I was never good enough. Like I remember like, you know, we were in the Pentecostal church, so for all the Pentecostal people, you know, they're like forcing me to speak tongues at like 10 or 9. They're like, "Let the Holy Spirit enter you," and like speak tongues. And like, I remember I just started like just babbling shit intentionally so I could be good enough. But like, I was always chasing my aunt's approval, always chasing it. And when you have a toxic person like that in your life, you can never get their approval, right? Because they're a tortured person themselves. And you know, Ryan is going to talk more about it this hopefully this week, but we're going to have him on. And you know, that was an ongoing thing. Like I was always chasing her approval, like trying to be like, please, please approve me. Please, am I good enough? Like, what can I do? Can I read more? Can I study the Bible more? Can I throw away more of my shit? You know? And at that point, my mom wasn't really like a diehard religious person, right? But then, like when she was 27, you know, the fucking, I guess my mom had like her epiphany phase, you know, or whatever. But they say that my mom went to this prayer meeting and she had like the demon of alcohol exorcised out of her body and she was like vomiting and stuff. And I think my mom was just like in a weak place. Like she was hungover from raging and at the club. And then she like puked at church. And then they were like, oh, you threw up a demon of alcohol. That's what it was. You know, like you threw up a demon of alcohol. And that's what she would say. And she said, like, you threw up this demon of alcohol. And that was like the theme of my mom's change, right? And so what ended up happening was that was like the beginning of like our dissension into like Christianity and poverty and just like hell fucking. That was like the beginning of like, all right. So what happened was we were in Miami. My mom had thrown up the demon of alcohol and she, you know, gave her life to Jesus and all this shit. And so what ended up happening was we ended up moving. We went up to Orlando for in June, right? And we went up there and like we were like, well, there's a lot of dudes here. My mom's like, why are all these fucking guys here? She's like, these guys are kind of acting weird. And we get to like the entrance and it's like, welcome to gay day at Disney, right? And this is like, you know, like the beginning of it all. And my mom was just like, you know, super Christian at the time. She was like, oh my God. She like tried to do it. She like tried to take us to a couple rides and like, I remember seeing like all these fucking gay dudes everywhere, just being like super gay. And I'm like a kid. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And my mom was just like so mad. So she complained to the Disney staff and she's like, you know, I brought my kids from Miami. She's like, you don't have this on, because there wasn't no websites there, right? And so she couldn't look this shit up at that time, right? And so she complained and they're like, okay, we're going to give you tickets to Animal Kingdom because like gay day like shifted from Magic Kingdom to like they had a park hopping day or something. And we went to Animal Kingdom and we rode all the rides and then time was up. And then my mom, out of nowhere, she's like, I want to go look at apartments in Orlando. And then she went to this apartment complex. She saw this place that we can live in, and she signed the lease. And she's like, we're going to move to Orlando. And I was like, what? I was like, that's out of nowhere. I was in 6th grade at the time. And then so we had to move to Orlando. That was the beginning of like the hyper-religious part of our life, and also the beginning of poverty and the embedding of like the poverty mindset in my mind. So my mom had given up all her like, you know, demon work at the clubs and stuff. It was the only thing she knew what to do, right? She was making a lot of money at the time. And when did we move there? So I was 13. I was born in 1985. So that's 1998. Yeah, we moved to Orlando like 1998. And then I changed schools and I went to this school called Gotha Middle School in Orlando, Florida. Lived on the west side, Metro West area. And so we were living over there and my mom had given up her devil work or whatever. And I just remember like it was just really hard on my mom. She was really hyper stressed out and she was like so obsessed with church. And she just felt like if she just gave more money to church, gave more tithes, gave more donations, gave more, gave more, what are they called? Like love offerings, sacrificial offerings, right? Sounds like fucking the hex chain, sacrifice chamber. Oh, Jesus. Anyways, so, oh man. So then, she would always give all her extra money to the church. And it was just like we were just perpetuating the state of poverty. And I remember one day I like walked in on my mom in the bedroom because we had a 2-bedroom apartment. It was like a living room, and like her bedroom was on the right side and the kids' bedroom was on the left side. And she was sitting on the floor, and like all these bills were around her, and she was crying and like weeping, we like sobbing, crying. And she was just like, we have all these bills and we have no money. I have no money. I don't know what I'm going to do. And she was just crying. And like, I was a kid, so I could see my mom was like, you don't really get the grasp of it, but you can feel the emotions at the time. And she was deeply, deeply in sorrow. And then it was just an ongoing theme from that point when I was 13 until I was like in my early 20s. We have no money. Money is hard to come by. We have no money. The money is running out. We have no money. We can't afford that. We need to save money. We don't have money. And it was just like ongoing for like 10 years. 10 years. And that fucked me up in my head big time. It because my mom didn't realize is that she was putting psychological trauma into me, and she was embedding these bad belief systems into my brain, right? And saying like, this is the truth. Like, money is hard to get. Money is a scarce resource. Poverty is the norm. And the reality is my mom didn't go to college. My mom didn't have an education. She was not good at a lot of things, and she was a single mom to top it off. And she had a green card, but she didn't have her paperwork yet. She got her citizenship, I think, when I was like in 8th grade, 9th grade. I can't remember when. But she was having to do a lot of the under the radar shit too. Typical babysitting, cleaning houses. She was a mortgage broker at one point, but then having to wait for the commission was a lot of tough shit. And then to top it off, like living with Christian guilt all the time. It's just like my mom lived with Christian guilt, and she put that on us, right? At one point, I remember I was in 8th grade, and, I had been collecting Pokemon cards, right? And I had 1st edition Charizard, 1st edition Blastoise, 1st edition Venusaur, 1st edition Raichu, 1st edition Chansey, 1st edition Zapdos, right? Holographic, all those stuff. 1st edition Mewtwo. I had like a creme de la creme collection. And so what ended up happening was one day she was talking to some lady, Nancy, some fucking psycho at the church who ended up getting literally committed to the psycho ward. Nancy was telling her, I think these Pokemon cards they're evil because they're from Japan. And the Japanese people don't believe in God. And Pokemon actually stands for pocket monsters. And she's like, your son has these the demonic things in his life. And I was also playing Resident Evil at the time. She's like, what? She's like, Resident Evil. She's like, so this has the word evil in it, and you're killing zombies, and like, this is also satanic. And she's like, you're bringing all these curses into your life. You're bringing all this evil, wicked curses and satanic nature into our house, and you're bringing generation curses onto us and everything, right? And it was just like, and Nancy was also a single mom who's like a literal psychopath, literally got committed to a fucking mental institute. And so, what she ended up doing was, I remember one time she's like, you need to have a come to Jesus moment, and you need to repent before the Lord. And she's like, you need to take these fucking things, you shouldn't say fuck or whatever, but she's like, you need to take this, I had like this binder of cards. And I was good, man. I was a little fucking hustler, dude. I would go and I would hustle these kids, and I would play them in Pokemon, and I would beat them, and I would take their fucking cards. I was 8th grade. I was like, I will bet you I remember, I'll never forget. I bet this guy his first edition Zapdos for my first edition Charizard. And I remember we were playing, and I had to use Chansey, and I used Chansey the double edge, like when she would do, I think she did like 60 damage, but she would also do damage to herself. Anyways, I remember I fucking murked this kid. I was like, give me that Zapdos, bitch. My shit now. And I was a gangster. I was like fucking smoking these kids, and I was good at Pokemon. It was a healthy hobby, and I was good at it, and I enjoyed it. And I remember I was 13 years old. She made me go to the dumpster, and I was crying my fucking eyes out, bawling, because I was like, I'm the devil, and I'm trying to, the rapture's coming, and I don't want to burn in the lake of fire, right? So remember, I had to throw all this fucking shit away, throw all my things away. And now, to top it off, that shit's worth like literally tens of thousands of dollars now to top it all off, right? So I had to throw away my video games. I had to fucking throw away my Pokemon cards. Everything was the devil. And then that's when I started becoming like a little bit of a degenerate, man. And so then when I remember like the next year I became a freshman, and I was a freshman in high school. And there was a guy, Russian friend of mine. He's like a degenerate too. Came from a broken household. His dad killed himself, and then when he was in his 30s, he killed himself too. That was like a couple years ago. But his name was Vadim. Vadim was a good guy. He was always making me laugh and telling funny jokes, and just a fat fucking Russian guy, funny kid. And he was like, "You want to smoke some weed?" And I was like, "What does it do?" He's like, "Oh, it makes you feel crazy and fun and whatever." And I was like, "Well, I fucking can't play Pokemon, and I can't fucking play Resident Evil, and everything's the devil. So fuck it, let's smoke this marijuana. What do you got?" So now I was 14 years old, using drugs for the first time, which is a gateway into a whole other fucking shit. And so, then I started smoking weed. And then that just led me down a path of degeneracy as well. All while shouldering the endless religious guilt that came with my childhood. Luckily, when I became like a man, started to become a man, 15, 16, I started like have balls and like strength and courage to like fight back to my mom, be like, "No, fuck you." Like I'd be like, "Shut up." Like, "Don't tell me that." And she would hit me, but I got strong. I was getting stronger to, because when you're a young man, 15, 16, you're pretty you get pretty strong pretty quickly, and you're stronger than a grown woman, right? I remember she would like hit me and stuff, but I would just like block, or I would push her away, and then I would yell at her and I'd be like, "You're a fucking bitch," or "You're a monster," whatever. And that's when like the physical abuse stopped, right? Because my mom would I remember my mom took my PlayStation and threw that shit at me. She like just pulled my PlayStation 1 out of the wall and threw it at me. And I was just like, one time I was like, "Bah!" Caught that shit. I was like, "Don't throw my PlayStation," and I yelled at her and slammed the door. But she would like beat me with the extension cords. She would beat me with the wooden spoon. She would smack me. She would pinch me and give me bruises. And, eventually, you stick up for yourself, and you get out of that shit. And so I did. And again, I think a big part of this was like, thank God for the church, because I went to Faith Assembly of God in Orlando, Florida at the time, and I had this natural greatness in me. I ended up winning Camper of the Year. I went to like youth camp in summer, and I won Camper of the Year. I won when I was 16 years old. I won the national championship for Large Human Video Group in the National Fine Arts Festival. We beat thousands of people. We got number 1 in the state. And then we got number 1 in the nation. I was constantly getting first place every year from sophomore year to senior year. I was knocking these first place competitions out. I got first place in youth choir. Obviously, it was a big group of us. I got first place in a small acting group. I got first place in a stand-up comedy, Christian stand-up comedy. I was just consistently knocking these first place things out. And I was like the cool kid at youth church. Like I was like the alpha male at youth church. And there was like, 300-400 people there at the time. I was like, everybody wanted to be with me. All the girls liked me. And that was, like I said, my saving grace. And thank God for the guy, Eric, who fucking, who kind of like was like, took me under his wing and was like teaching me how to be like a cool alpha male. Like he was like a real alpha male. He was like a degenerate Puerto Rican guy, fucking all the girls in youth church. But he was good looking. All the bitches loved him. He was strong. He had charisma. He didn't take shit. And he really, like, I hung out with him for like 2 years. And he gave me like the outline of like how to be like a cool masculine male. And thank God for him. He taught me how to dress. He really took me under his wing. Good guy. Really fantastic guy. And, thank God for the church and the community they provide. I had youth church, Pastor Johnny. And, I was making that motherfucker money because, like, I was like a pinnacle part of all these first place championships. And it's not like first place out of, like, 10 people competing. There's hundreds of people competing at the state level. And then there's thousands of people competing at the national level. So thank God for that. And then, I did a lot of stage acting in church. I was in a lot of the plays. And I got a lot of clout. And I understood, like, what it was like to be popular, be the cool guy or whatever. I guess, I don't know. I just had it in me. But despite all the bad shit that was happening to me, I was able to shine and rise above it all. And so, that was it. That was basically all the emotional and physical abuse in my childhood, and how that manifested was in a lot of ways. Right, I didn't really understand until I was 32 that money is an abundant source. Money is plentiful and it's everywhere. And the reason you don't have money, the reason that you're poor, is because your mindset is broken and you don't have the proper skill sets to attract and to cultivate money in your life. That's a big thing. Had a lot of insecurity and a lot of masculinity issues at one point, right? All the way up until, like, I would say my late 20s as well, because growing up without a dad, and then a childhood of abuse, and constantly like on your toes, like trying to like fight back, and trying to like prove to the world you're worth something because all these other people said you were worthless. You overcompensate, and I think that's something that happens in this red pill corner. I think a lot of guys they have insecurity in themselves, and they believe that they compensate for this insecurity by engaging in hypersexuality, right? By fucking a lot of girls. And I talked about this on Rule Zero on Troy's channel, where I was in the foam cannon party in Japan. If you've watched the episode, you understand. If you don't, go find it. It's on Troy's channel. Great guy, by the way, Troy Francis, 10 out of 10. And so, I think that happens with a lot of people. A lot of guys with insecurity issues, guys live in Brazil, they're fucked up here, and they have a lot of psychological unresolved trauma inside themselves. So they think like, oh, if I engage in this hypersexuality by having sex, threesomes, foursomes, fivesomes, sixsomes, like, when is it enough? Like, when is it enough? And it's never going to be enough, right? Until you heal yourself in your mind and in your heart and in your soul. I know it sounds like woo-woo, but it's true. And the fundamental points I'm trying to get across to everybody listening right now is the biggest problem with your life, if you have problem, is because something is off with your mindset. There is some kind of trauma there. There is some kind of, and this is not sexy, cool, like clickbait material that everybody's going to watch. I'm watching the viewership plummet right now. It's hilarious. But it's like, that's the problem for you guys that are going to stick around and listen. The thing is this, and that's why it's so easy for guys like me to succeed, is because so many people quit and give up. But the truth is this, right? All the problems in your life come from a fundamental brokenness up here. And it's not like you can read the fucking Unplugged Alpha and like fix everything, or read The Rational Male, or sign up for my Patreon, whatever. You have to do deep, deep inner work, okay? Deep, deep inner healing in your mind to heal yourself. That's why there's so much, like in America, that's why there's so many people that are obese. In our genetic makeup, we know that we shouldn't be fat. We know it's bad to be obese. We know it's unhealthy for us. But, by engaging in these kind of masking behaviors, masking our anxiety, our past trauma with food, with drugs, alcohol, you name it, we begin to destroy ourselves. And the only way to heal it is through releasing the trauma. I choose hypnotherapy personally, but there's many ways to do it. There's traditional therapy, but I'm a little weary of traditional therapy because they always want to drug you up. And we all know about Big Pharma and all that stuff. There's no money in curing people. It's money in keeping them on pills and keeping them on the medicine. So, that right there is the key to fixing everything. You want to make America great again. You want to bring back the patriarchy. You want to do this. We've got to heal our nation. I think Rollo was in the chat earlier. I don't know if he's still here, but he said the truth. And Rollo is a very good father. Okay, and you guys know, like, I don't ride Rollo's jock like everybody else just because he's the godfather of the manosphere or whatever. Like, I don't fanboy for him. I just objectively look at the man, and he is a good father. And he said it in one of his streams multiple times. He said that the biggest problem that we have in America is we have a parenting crisis. That's why everybody's so fucked up. That's why daddy issues is kind of a joke. Like, oh, she has daddy issues. But guys have mommy issues. I had mommy issues, right? I had abandonment issues, right? Because my dad left me in my childhood. I always felt like the girls were going to leave me, that I was never good enough. Like, it was only a matter of time before the girls left me. It was like I only had them for a little bit. And a lot of guys have these insecurity issues. They get the girl, they have sex with her, everything's good, but inside they're broken and they feel like they're not good enough. And so what ends up happening is they think like, oh, well, it's only a matter of time before she leaves me, or she's definitely cheating on me, or something bad is inevitably going to happen, right? That's what I used to think. I used to think that with my finances. Even though if I made a large amount of money, I would be thinking like, oh, it's just only a matter of time before this money goes to zero and I'm poor and everything bad happens to me, right? And so with these broken patterns in our minds, with these broken thought patterns, these broken things, right there is the why people getting these repetition patterns and shit just keeps on getting worse and worse and worse for people, right? Is because they don't heal the root cause, which is a broken mind, which is an inner trauma, which is resolving past childhood trauma and all that shit. It is important to fix that stuff. It is absolutely important. But again, we mask it. People mask it with making money. People mask it with drug addiction. People mask it with gambling. People mask it with hypersexuality. People mask it with, video game addiction, anything that can escape from it. But once you are able to heal the trauma, you get this mental peace and like this calmness. I've been engaging a lot in a lot of hypnotherapy over the last 2 years, and you've noticed like I don't get like psychotically angry anymore like I used to back in the day. Like, remember, everybody was like, angry MLD is the best, bring back angry MLD. Like, it was because I had a lot of hurt and resentment inside me towards my aunt when I was doing these. I think everybody here can pretty much agree my aunt is very hate-worthy. But again, by me hating my aunt even into my 30s, I was drinking the poison hoping for her to die. Okay? So here's the spoiler. I got the juicy stuff for the people who stuck around. Fast forward to today, my aunt actually ended up sabotaging the pastor's relationship with his wife in the church down in Miami. And the guy ended up divorcing his wife and marrying my aunt. And now they're married together. And she's like the co-pastor's wife or whatever at that church down in Miami. And so, yeah, that's that. Who's demon possessed now, bitch? But it's just that's the whole thing right there. That's the whole finagling of my mind. And so going back to it, right? But I didn't realize how much she affected me and how much that trauma was still with me. I thought people always just thought about bad things in the past and kept it in them. But when I was talking to Ryan Fowler from innermasculine.com, he was telling me that this is unhealthy. You have to heal this. And we're going to bring him on, and we're going to talk about this later this month. I'm going to be bringing a series of people on. Richard Cooper will be on talking about inner game. Paul, who's a genius, Paul from Aplex Mindset will be coming on. We'll be talking. Ryan Christensen from hypnosisformen.com will be talking with me. Ryan Fowler will be talking with me. Hopefully I can get Thor here. Pray for Thor. Pray for him right now. He's got a lot going on. Wraith, hopefully I can get him on. And I just want to talk to everybody at Inner Game. So that's what this whole Inner Game July is about. Supreme leader of the Hot Dude Army, right? Living the dream in Tokyo, Japan, live streaming with one nipple out, just living the dream. And I'm happy. My life is good. I've got people in my life who love me. I've got people in my life who respect me. I've got great friends like Charlie from cultivatecrypto.com, my man Federico, Mac the Day Gamer, all these fantastic people in my life. Everything's good. Everything is good. And it all started with me doing work on myself, which leads me back to this. Here's the unsexy part. Now it's up to you. So, will you join me on this entry-level step on Inner Game July grind? Again, there's no catch, nothing at all. It's 100% for free. But join me on this journey this month to maximize your mental clarity and really take a self-inventory to see where you are, where you stand, and how you can do things to make your life feel better. Number one, again, no eating out unless it's for business. All meals must be prepped, okay? No Chick-fil-A, no Chipotle, nothing. If you have a meal prep service, that's fine, okay? Gym 3 times a week minimum, right? The more you can go, the better. I don't believe in overtraining unless you're like really overtraining, like you're like lifting hard, which chances are you're probably not. Finish 4 books, okay? That's about a book a week starting from today. It's July 5th. Listen to the books on Audible. You can listen to them on 1.75 speed and power through them. 1 self-improvement activity daily. Track your weight. Positive affirmations, whether written or spoken, are good. And number 7, most important one, no negative people. And then tag me on Instagram so I can showcase your success. My Instagram is Hot Dude Life. You can follow me there. And you'll be following me. I'll be documenting my success as well and my triumphs as we all go through Inner Game July. So, we can sit here and call women whores and say all bitches are sluts and they all belong to the streets and stuff. And it's fine, but it doesn't make your life better, okay? So let's use July to make our lives better. And that's going to do it for me today. Appreciate you guys. Love you all. For you guys watching on replay, leave a comment, leave a like. I'll see you next time. Peace out.